When multiplying polynomials by a polynomial, we are going to follow a formula that's actually called the FOIL method. And this method is going to always be used to help us solve for these. And the FOIL method stands for first, outside, inside, and then last. So I have my first, my outside, inside, and then last. And this is for our terms in our two polynomials that we're going to follow. So the first terms, I'm going to underline in blue. So I'm going to multiply 2x times x, and I'm going to get a 2x squared. Then I need to multiply our outside terms, and I'm going to underline the outside terms in red. So my two outside terms are 2x times 5, which gives me a positive 10x. So I can add those together. My inside terms are the ones in green, and that would be the 3 times x, which gives me a positive 3x. And then my last terms are in a purple, and those are the 3 times 5, which gives me 15. At this point, I need to simplify my expression, and so I can't combine any other 2x squareds. So I'm left with 2x squared. And then I have a 10x plus a 3x gives me plus 13x. And then I have just a 15. I don't have anything that I can add to that. So my final answer is 2x squared plus 13x plus 15. We're going to use the FOIL method again. So I have my first, outside, inside, last. So my first terms are the x and the 3x, so I get 3x squared. My outside terms are x and 4, so I get plus 4x. My inside terms are this negative 2 times 3x, which gives me negative 6x. And my last terms are 2 times 4, which gives me, or negative 2 times 4, which gives me actually a negative 8. Make sure to pay attention to your negative signs. And then we're going to simplify. So our final answer is 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. And then minus 2x comes from a positive 4 times negative 6, or minus 6. Let's look at another example. I have 3m plus 4 times m plus 5. So we're going to do first inside, or first outside, inside, last. So I'm going to have a 3m squared. My outside terms, when I multiply those, gives me a 15m. My inside terms give me a 4m. And my last terms gives me 20. When I simplify, I'll get 3m squared plus 19m plus 20. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. So I'm going to have, following my FOIL method, I'm going to do my first terms, which will give me a 5y squared. And then I have plus 40y. Negative 2 times y gives me a minus 2y. And then minus 16. So when I simplify, I get 5y squared plus 38y minus 16. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. So when I multiply my first terms, because I'm still following my FOIL method, I'm going to get a 6y squared. And then my outside terms gives me 10y minus 21y minus 30. Actually, it's minus 35. And so I get 6y squared minus 11y minus 35. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. So I'll multiply my first terms together, and I'm going to get an 8a squared minus 36a minus 10a, and then a negative 5 times a negative 9 gives me plus 45. And then when I simplify, I get 8a squared minus 46a plus 45. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own. Still following my FOIL method, and as you can tell, we're always going to use our FOIL method. I get a 12x squared plus 8x minus 15x minus 10. So I get 12x squared minus 7x minus 10 is my final answer. When I'm multiplying a 2-term polynomial by a 3-term polynomial, I just need to make sure that every single one of these terms is multiplied by these terms. So the first ones I'm going to look at is just 6x. So I'm going to multiply 6x by each one of these terms. So 6x times 2x squared gives me a 12x cubed. Because remember, I add my exponents. And then a 6x times a negative 3x gives me negative 18x squared. And then 6x times negative 5 gives me negative 30x. Then what I need to do is make sure that my 5 gets multiplied by each term of the other polynomial. So 5 times 2x squared is a 10x squared. 5 times a negative 3x gives me a negative 15x. And then 5 times negative 5 gives me negative 25. And then I need to simplify. So when I look at my terms, I see that I have a cubed, and nothing else can go with the cubed, so I'm going to start with my 12x cubed. And then I have a negative 18x squared that I need to combine with another term that's a squared, and I have a 10x squared. So negative 18x squared plus 10x squared gives me a negative 8x squared. And I'm going to cross those two terms off. Negative 30x minus 15x gives me a negative 45x minus 25, because nothing can be combined with my constant. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. And remember that you need to make sure that each one of your terms gets multiplied. So when I first multiply, I have 3x times x squared, which gives me a 6x cubed, plus 21x squared minus 24x. And then I have minus 10x squared minus 35x plus 40. When I simplify, I get 6x cubed plus 11x squared minus a 59x plus 40. A contractor is building a deck around a rectangular swimming pool, and the deck is X feet from every side of the pool. So as you can tell, we have our deck, or our swimming pool's right here, and then this part is our deck. And so it's by X. So we need to write an expression for the total area of the pool and the deck. And this is very important that we're looking at the pool and the deck. So I know that area equals my length times my width. So let's see what our length is. My length is going to be this plus an x plus an x. And if I have a 1x plus a 2x, I'm going to get a 2x. And then I also need to include that length of the pool. So I have that plus 20. For my width, I have the same thing almost, but I'm going to have 1x plus 1x, which gives me 2x, plus 15 though, because I have my width of my pool. And so then after following my FOIL method, I'm going to get the equation that 4x squared plus 30x plus 40x plus 300, and that's going to simplify to 4x squared plus 70x plus 300. Using our example from before, so that other example where we had a 4x squared plus 70x plus 300, if the pool is 25 feet long and 20 feet wide, we're going to find that area of that one. So instead of having actually a pool that's going to fit that expression, because that expression went with two different lengths, we have a pool now that is 25 feet by 20 feet, and then we have this deck that is still x by x. So there's an x, and up here would be x. And so we're going to follow that same thing. So my length would just be 2x plus 25 times 2x plus 20. And I would get a 4x squared plus 40x plus 50x plus 500. And then when I simplify, I get 40x squared plus 50x, or 90x, plus 500.